It's Monday, August 29. In the headlines, more subsidies for low-income earners. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is in Trinidad for Jubilee celebrations. Regionally, calls in the Bahamas to expunge records for personal use of marijuana. And in sports, Sharika Jackson places second in the 100-meter race in Lucerne. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I am Simone Absalom Gale. More subsidies will go to persons with low income as the National Housing Trust, NHT, revises its policy using income-targeted subsidies. That's according to Prime Minister Andrew Holness. He says the subsidy policy changes for home ownership are aimed at being more in line with the needs of people, following recommendations given in a strategic review of the trust in 2017.
If the NHT is going to give subsidies, one, the subsidy should be on the demand side, meaning don't give subsidies to developers and contractors. Give the subsidy to the people who are going to purchase the house. All right? Because if you give it to the developers and the contractors, you have no genuine control that they will pass on the reduced price to the purchaser. So just give it to the purchaser. That's one recommendation, and that's what we have been doing in reducing the interest rates and increasing the bands in which people can get benefit to zero interest rates. The second one is give subsidies to the poorest people, the most vulnerable, the people who need it. Now, everybody in the society is going to say, I need it. But the job of the government is to look at all the various social grouping and bands and say who really has the lowest income, including people who have no income whatsoever, and take all the subsidies that you're going to give and structure them in such a way that the poorest of the poor gets it.
The Prime Minister urges that homes donated under the new social housing program are an example where a citizen receives a subsidy that's fairer.
So this argument that somehow our income targeting is going to be worse for the poor, it's absolutely not true. In fact, it is a lie. The income targeting is going to be much better for the poor because it means that more subsidy will go to those people who have low income or no income whatsoever.
Prime Minister Holness was speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony for the Sandown Palms housing development in Portmore on Friday. The bidding process is now open for developers who would like the opportunity to construct Phase 2 of the Ruth Venn Towers apartment complex in New Kingston. They have until November 30 to do so. The state-run National Housing Trust, NHT, began advertising for developers in the Sunday newspapers. It said developers must be prepared to construct up to 233 units in at least 3 towers. Nearly 400 applications were received for the Phase 1 development. Prime Minister Andrew Holness left the country on Sunday for Trinidad and Tobago to participate as a special guest in the Twin Island Republic's 60th anniversary celebrations. Also traveling with Mr. Holness is Foreign Affairs Minister Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith. The Jamaican team was met by Prime Minister of Trinidad, Dr. Keith Rowley, and members of his cabinet. Prime Minister Holness will meet with the President of Trinidad today, Monday, August 29, and then he will hold bilateral talks with Prime Minister Rowley. Mr. Holness is also expected to meet with the Jamaican diaspora. Mr. Holness is expected to be out of the island until September 1. Deputy Prime Minister Dr. Horace Chang will be in charge of government affairs. The Caribbean Policy Research Institute, CAPRI, in their report Breaking News, Gender-Based Violence in Jamaican News Media, states that Jamaican women are most likely to experience abuse between the ages of 25 to 29. According to the report, Jamaica has the second highest rate of femicide, intentional homicide of females, and one of the world's highest rates of intimate partner violence. The report, in its findings, notes that there is a proven link between media consumption and cultural attitudes. An excerpt from the report states the following: the archetype of the Don or bad man is widely promoted, and one of the nation's biggest exports, dancehall music, endorses dysfunctional masculine identities and misogynistic ideologies. The researchers also found a correlation with the news media and the development and reinforcement of social beliefs, including behaviors and policy development. At least a third of women globally experience violence against women and girls in their lifetime. An estimated 28% of Jamaican women experience direct gender-based violence over a lifetime, and 7% of women on the island have reported to have experienced abuse from an intimate partner in the past 12 months. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the planned expansion of Carib Cement will improve production locally, which will in turn benefit the region. He was speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony for the company's $6 billion expansion project.
As part of its growth strategy, CEMEX took the decision to upgrade and increase the production capacity of its subsidiary, Caribbean Cement Company Limited. This expansion project, valued at US $40 million, will increase Carib Cement's production capacity by approximately 30%. That is by 300,000 metric tons. That is significant. The expansion will use state-of-the-art technology and will introduce novel grinding additives to the manufacturing process, which will further enhance the production of low-clinker products in the region.
The Prime Minister also gave good news on the premise of the environment, an area in which the government has taken keen interest over the past several years.
Further, by optimizing the heat consumption in the cement production process, the project will also minimize Carib Cement's carbon footprint in Jamaica. The construction ecosystem globally accounts for 25% of greenhouse gas emissions. Concrete specifically, cement, which is the largest contributor to this, accounts for 4.5% of global greenhouse gas emissions and 7% of CO2 emissions in 2019.
Minister of Culture Olivia Grange spoke about the mural painted on one of the factory's silo, which represents the island's relationship with Mexico and simultaneously is the largest painting done on the island.
An extension of my ministry's ongoing Jamaica Creative Paint Up Your Creative Space mural project now sees this full-color mural, which measures 49 feet tall by 167 feet in width. The creative work illustrates the strong cultural and artistic traditions of both Jamaica and Mexico and depicts a jaguar man, a powerful representation of Mexican Aztec culture, presenting his heart to a beautiful singing Jamaican female.
The Mexico-Jamaica Friendship Mural Project is a part of efforts to celebrate Jamaica's 60th year of independence. Reporting for PBCJ News, I am Raquel Robinson.
Veteran broadcaster Francois Saint-Just died this morning at the University Hospital of the West Indies. Radio Jamaica made the announcement in the morning. Up to his death, he worked at Radio Jamaica as co-host with Paula Ann Porter-Jones on the morning program Sunny Side Up. Mr. Saint-Just had been battling an illness recently. The PBCJ extends its condolences to his family and friends and to the Radio Jamaica group. Jamaica exports a range of spices, which includes turmeric, nutmeg, ginger, and pimento. Recently, Jamaica's spice industry received a multi-million-dollar boost from the United States through its Department of Agriculture. The funds will be disbursed over a 5-year period. Our reporter Marlon Samuels gives us an insight in what this will mean for Jamaica's pimento industry.
In the world of spice, one stands out in Jamaica. It can easily be dubbed the king of spice. It's pimento. Jamaica is said to be the largest producer of pimento, which is touted as having the best quality in the world. It's also known as allspice or clove pepper. It has a combined flavor of nutmeg, cinnamon, and clove, which is why it is also referred to as allspice. It is indigenous to Jamaica and accounts for 90% of the spices exported from the island. The dark balls, which resemble peppercorns, are used in a variety of ways. It is known to be a wonderful preservative. Its distinct flavor and aroma adds a unique taste when added to a variety of stews and meat dishes. Pimento is also used in a range of drinks and wines. It is in great demand due to its perceived medicinal properties. Jamaicans use it to make a hot cup of tea when they have a cold, to calm an upset stomach, or to get rid of cramps. Pimento extract also helps to calm the mind and relieve pain from arthritis. Jamaica pimento industry has over the years had to overcome a number of challenges. Trees were cut down for charcoal or for use in the popular jerk industry. Harvesters have been stripping the leaves off the trees to make pimento oil. All these challenges have reduced the yields. The U.S. Department of Agriculture is to inject US $20 million to boost spice production in Jamaica. The funds will be disbursed under the Food for Progress program over a 5-year period. The agricultural initiative will be used to promote sustainable and climate-friendly farming for spices, for which Jamaica has a worldwide competitive advantage. This will be a major boost for Jamaica's pimento, considered the best in the world. For the news on PBCJ, I am Marlon Samuels.
In the business report, Flow Jamaica launches a new product. We have this report plus other updates from Danita Rodney.
Flow Jamaica has announced eSIM. The new program is said to be a programmable embedded electronic SIM card equivalent to the physical plastic SIM cards that cannot be removed from the device. According to the company's website, the eSIM should allow users to benefit from a simpler device setup, having 2 numbers active on the same phone at the same time, and much more. For your market updates, in foreign exchange trading for Friday, August 26, the US dollar sold for an average of $151.26. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $118.72. The pound sterling traded for $180.90. And the euro sold for an average of $153.86. The following reflects the movement of the JSE indices in Friday's trading session. The JSE index advanced by 1,783 points to close at over 300,000 units. The junior market index advanced by 74 points to close at over 4,000 units. The combined market index advanced by 2,335 points to close at over 300,000 units. And the All Jamaican Composite Index advanced by 2,977 points to close at over 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 111 stocks, of which 58 advanced, 34 declined, and 19 traded firm. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Berger Paints Jamaica Limited, and Cargo Handlers Limited. Stocks declined for 1834 Investments Limited, Access Financial Services Limited, and AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited. Trading firm were 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited Variable Preference, Blue Power Group Limited, and CAC 2000 Limited. The overall volume leaders were Portland JSX Limited with over 7 million units, MFS Capital Partners Limited with over 4 million units, and Trans Jamaican Highway Limited with over 3 million units. In regional stocks, in Trinidad and Tobago, Clico Investment Fund was the only active security with over 50,000 shares being traded. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, Cave Shepherd and Company Limited was the sole securities trading 702 shares. In regional business, St. Lucia took third place in this year's installment of the CBI Index, which ranked 13 countries with operational citizenship by investment programs. St. Lucia was recognized for its affordable minimum investment outlay, reasonable mandatory travel or resident requirements, and ease of application processing. The country was ranked alongside other Caribbean countries such as Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, and Grenada. The following reflects the market data for oil. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news in the Bahamas, Free National Movement leader Michael Pintard is suggesting criminal records for those arrested with small amounts of marijuana for personal use be expunged. Pintard says the Davis administration should give it as much attention as expunging the criminal records for those who broke COVID-19 emergency orders.
Pintard says certain things like the expunging of records for Bahamians arrested for small amounts of marijuana for personal use is something that doesn't need to wait for marijuana legislation to be carried out.
We raised this issue during the exercise where the government sought to expunge records of persons convicted of simple COVID offenses. The opposition fully supported that move. We also thought that it would be appropriate to, at the same time, expunge the records of persons found with small quantities of marijuana.
Pintard elaborates to give a potential cause of the delay.
The Attorney General, in my view, was the most bullish in wishing to delay it, to incorporate it in, as he puts it, the legislation related to the cannabis industry, and I suspect restorative justice.
The party leader suggesting that in the meantime, the possibility of working with industrial hemp is something that should be explored as a possible boost for the agricultural industry.
We know that there is a multi-billion-dollar industry that is derived from the cultivation and processing of industrial hemp.
The leader of the Free National Movement also calling on the Davis administration to not needlessly slow the process down.
What we do believe is a waste of time is for this government to take an inordinate, unnecessarily long period of time. And we thought it would be important for this government to continue the discussions with the various stakeholders.
In Antigua and Barbuda, Prime Minister Gaston Brown has sought to clear the air as concerns rise about the cannabis use by minors following a change to the law governing small amounts.
Let me make it abundantly clear that it is illegal. It is legally prohibited for anyone under 18 years of age to use marijuana.
Prime Minister Gaston Brown has responded to criticisms blaming the decriminalization of marijuana for its use among minors. Educators have pointed to an increase in marijuana use since the Cannabis Act allowed for the possession of small amounts of marijuana for personal use and its medicinal and sacramental use.
This knee-jerk reaction whenever individuals see youth using marijuana in public, or even in their private homes for that matter, or in private places, to be blaming the government is inappropriate.
But he says there are plans to discourage using marijuana.
Within the next few weeks, we'll be scaling up our public education, especially for the youth, and to try and eliminate that demand among the young people or youth to use marijuana.
He says the Social Transformation Ministry will start a public education campaign on cannabis effects.
In Barbados, Deputy Prime Minister Cynthia Bradshaw has announced that the Transport Board is on the cusp of a cashless payment system for commuters.
The days of searching for exact change for the bus could be coming to an end as the Transport Board prepares to roll out a cashless payment system. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Transport Santia Bradshaw revealed it will involve the new national ID cards.
As you know, we're introducing the ID card, and we want to be able to allow people to just swipe and be able to travel on the buses. And of course, that means our pensioners, our school children, everybody will be accommodated by way of this new initiative. The fact that there will be no money, or that is what is intended in terms of the transformation, also means that the fears that people have in relation to carrying cash and being robbed and being interfered with because they have money on them, also that is something that we have looked at. And we therefore, I believe just in a few weeks or so, we should have the first 50 on island. The preparatory work has already been done, but the intention is that by January of next year that we can actually go live in relation to the cashless system.
She made the revelation as members of the executive team and staff at the Transport Board attended a service at the Cullingmore Rock Church of the Nazarene to mark its 67th anniversary.
In Belize, while employees in the minimum wage bracket have been clamoring for an increase, SSB's actuary, Hernando Mantas, explained that because everything in economics is linked, an increase in salaries will inevitably affect the cost of goods and services.
Now workers will be claiming higher salaries to keep the cost of living the same. The CPI is going up. Last year it was 1%. This year it will be more than 3% or 4%. And this will be a cycle for 1 or 2 or 3 years only until it comes down again to 1%. So the next 2 years there will be some salary increases, and that might have an impact on Social Security.
What about the increase on minimum wage? Do you see that having an impact as well?
The minimum wage will very likely, there will be the unions will like to increase the minimum wage. That's why I said in my presentation, oh right, the minimum wage, the 335 right now, should go up, but then the 2 wage bands should go up, to be eliminated. Because it doesn't make any rationale to keep a wage band of 55 per week or 90 per week, which are the first two, when the minimum wage goes up.
Yes.
So it should go to 130, and they will be able to get higher pensions also.
Yes.
In international news, the U.S. pharmaceutical company Moderna is suing its rivals Pfizer and BioNTech over the technology behind its COVID-19 vaccine. Both jabs use a new technique based on mRNA.
A once-in-a-generation pandemic brought the world's first mRNA vaccines to the market at warp speed. Millions of lives were saved. Billions of dollars were earned. Now, one of the manufacturers, Moderna, is suing its biggest rival Pfizer and its German partner BioNTech, it says, for copying its invention. The CEO says the lawsuits are aimed at protecting the technology that they pioneered and invested in years before the pandemic began.
They're not asking for any of the money for that Pfizer might have made from the U.S. government. So all of that is neutral because they don't want that money. They're not asking for an injunction to stop anybody, and they're not suing everybody. They're basically suing Pfizer. I think that, in fact, they're probably thinking that if they win this lawsuit, they'll be in a position to license other companies that want to do this.
Researchers are exploring if mRNA technology can fight diseases such as cancer, malaria, and HIV. These lawsuits are an opening shot at who gets to protect its future.
What's at stake is absolutely huge because, what Moderna is trying to do is to form a near monopoly of mRNA technology. That's going to stifle innovation. Not just with COVID vaccines existing, but future generations of COVID vaccines and vaccines for influenza, Ebola, and other kinds of emerging infectious diseases that we need to tackle.
As countries learn to live with a pandemic that once stopped the world, the battle has only just begun over who owns the technology and who keeps the profit.
In sports, we're on the tracks where Alia Hobbs from the United States won the 100-meter race in Lausanne on Friday, clocking 10.87 seconds. Hobbs barely beat out world 200-meter champion Sharika Jackson by 0.01 seconds. What was dubbed one of the most exciting races because of the three world's fastest women in the lineup only saw Jackson taking the line as Elaine Thompson-Herah was disqualified for false starting and defending world champion Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price withdrew after discomfort in her hamstring while warming up for the race. Barbados Royals are the champions of the inaugural SkyX Women's 60 tournament. The Royals on Sunday evening defeated the rivals Trinbago Knight Riders in the final at the Warner Park in St. Kitts. Batting first after being sent in, the Royals were dismissed for 65 in 9.2 overs. Alia Elaine top scored with 23, including 3 fours and a 6, while Captain Hayley Matthews, who was also player of the tournament, made 15, as those two put on 42 for the opening partnership. Both Anissa Mohammed and Soon Luz took 2 for 11. Knight Riders, in reply, were dismissed for 50 in 9 overs, allowing the Royals to win by 15 runs. Shakira Selman had impressive figures of 3 for 10. Meanwhile, in the men's final, St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots defeated Trinbago Knight Riders by 3 wickets in the final of the men's 60. Knight Riders batted first and were bowled out for 84 in 9.3 overs. Tim Seifert top scored with 37 not out. That included a 4 and 3 sixes, while Dominic Drakes took 2 for 17. The Pats, in reply, made 85 for 3 off 9.4 overs to win by 3 wickets. Skipper Evan Lewis led with 32 with 2 fours and 3 sixes, while player of the series Andre Fletcher was unbeaten on 27 with 2 sixes. Tournament ambassador Chris Gale struck the winning runs in his knock 15. Andre Russell took 2 for 11. And that's the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Remember, we are the People's Station.